Welcome to Airborne Flight Training. Coming up on this week's episode, Cub Crafters awarded USDA contract for certified XCubs. Canadian aircrew's Dominican ordeal nears possible end. Rumored Delta pilot contract leaks. And I'm your host, Holland Lee. Let's get into today's stories. Cub Crafters awarded USDA contract for certified XCubs. Cub Crafters has announced that its certified CC19 XCub flagship has been selected by the United States Department of Agriculture as part of a fleet modernization contract. It may start a rush to USDA from pilots who want to fly cool airplanes. Since 2003, U.S. federal agencies such as the Department of Homeland Security, the Department of the Interior, the United States Air Force Flight Academy, the United States Air Force Research Laboratory, and the Department of Agriculture have used Cub Crafters aircraft to complete missions in remote and challenging flying environments. The USDA XCubs will be the first in fleet service with Uncle Sam and will be used primarily for natural resource management. Cub Crafters is slated to deliver the first two aircraft under the multi-year contract to the USDA Wildlife Services in the late summer of 2023. Cub Crafters boss Patrick Horgan remarked, quote, "Our long relationship with the U.S. government is a strong testament to our ability to design and manufacture exceptionally rugged utility aircraft for backcountry missions. This contract is not only important for us as a supplier for the U.S. government, but also for investors participating in our ongoing public offering. This sale demonstrates that our newest generation of fully certified modern utility aircraft can replace the aging fleet of legacy aircraft now in service," end quote. And after the break, Thrust Flight ferries new Archers home.
There's a difference between charting a steady course and pushing for the ceiling. And for nearly a century, Hartzell Propeller has been defining that difference. It's in our passion for engineering and research and our dedication to testing the limits of performance. We are built on honor. We are Hartzell Propeller.
If it looks good, it usually flies good. The Bristol series of aircraft is proof of that. Furthering their legacy of safety and efficiency, Bristol is proud to feature the Rotax 915 IS Turbo in the current lineup of aircraft. The 915 IS Turbo power plant offers more power than ever before in a light sport aircraft. Learn more about Bristol at www.sportflyingusa.com.
Throughout the globe, Piper Aircraft has hand-selected the very best in company representation, service, and support. From first inquiry to acquisition to product support, Piper Aircraft ownership is seamless and worry-free. Piper Aircraft authorized dealers, factory trained, factory connected.
Welcome back. Now let's take a trip around the patch for some other interesting stories. Thrust Flight ferries new Archers home. Thrust Flight has received 5 brand new Piper Archer TXs, bringing their 2022 additions to a dozen aircraft in all. The school will continue their role with 8 more Archers next year, allowing them to entice prospective students with brand new, low-wing aircraft and year-round flying weather. Or perhaps most important for summer lessons, the Archers boast air conditioning. The school made the best of the aircraft handover, shipping out a handful of its zero time to airline students and instructors to ferry the planes from Piper's factory. Emirates and CAE flight training marks 20 years. CAE's business aviation training facility will obtain a new Global 6500 full flight sim at the Emirates-CAE Flight Training Center in Al Ghurud, Dubai. The new equipment is expected to be installed in May of 2023, building on 2 decades of partnership between the airline and the flight trainer. Growing from an initial A300 series sim in 1992, CAE soon established themselves as the place to train for the Middle Eastern market. By 2002, Emirates had entered into a partnership to expand training infrastructure even more, adding a dozen training bays the following year. Aura Aero sells electric glider tow plane. Aura Aero has obtained the approval of the French Gliding Federation with their purchase of an electric integral. The Federation will use their new aircraft as a glider tow for a local club, making them the first to operate an all-electric towing aircraft in France. The electric operation will help to minimize sound pollution and carbon emissions. While such reductions are dandy, the most important aspect to young students and cash-strapped gliding enthusiasts is the cost of electric operation over avgas-powered tow planes. Droner's Manual 2nd edition now available. ASA's second edition of the Droner's Manual compacts the most important and relevant knowledge of drone operation into a single guidebook. Author Kevin Jenkins walks would-be pilots through the needful for UAV operators looking to break into hobbyist, enterprise, or government operation. Jenkins includes stepwise guidance on building, programming, testing, and flying multi-rotor fixed-wing and hybrid-frame aircraft for nearly any purpose. The Droner's Manual comes in ebook or softcover, priced between $19.95 and $24.95 at distributing FBOs or online. Well, that's it for today's trip around the patch. Let's get back to the rest of the news. Canadian Aircrew's Dominican ordeal nears possible end. On April 5, 2022, a crew in the employ of Canadian charter air carrier Pivot Airlines happened upon 460 pounds of cocaine stashed in the avionics bay of the CRJ-100 they were scheduled to operate on a chartered flight from Punta Cana to Canada. Upon being made aware of the contraband, the flight's captain, Robert D. Venanzo, immediately reported such to both Canadian and Dominican authorities. Though no charges were filed, Dominican police confiscated the aircrew's passports and imprisoned D. Venanzo, his second-in-command, 2 flight attendants, and a Pivot maintenance engineer traveling aboard the flight. Pivot Airlines, the families of the jailed crew members, and humanitarian organizations repeatedly attempted to compel the Government of Canada to intercede in the matter, albeit to no avail. After more than 7 months of abjectly perverting justice and precipitously lowering the wider world's opinion of the Caribbean island nation's civility, Dominicans have begun the process of releasing the long-suffering Canadian crew members. Pivot Airlines CEO Eric Edmondson stated, quote, "Earlier today, paperwork was filed to free the 5 Pivot crew members who have been detained in the Dominican Republic for 220 days after reporting suspected contraband on their aircraft. We are deeply relieved that these 5 Canadians will soon return home to their families and loved ones," end quote. And after these messages, rumored Delta pilot contract leaks.
Aviation Safety Resources is disrupting the market for aircraft emergency parachute recovery systems. ASR systems are smaller, lighter weight, and offer longer repack cycles than similar products available in the current market. ASR has a recovery system available for every type of aircraft: sport, experimental, light sport, general aviation, urban air mobility, vertical takeoff and landing, electric propulsion, and unmanned aerial systems. Find the right product for your aircraft at aviationsafetyresources.com.
Well, hello, fellow pilot. I'm John King.
And I'm Martha King.
You know, we've all had our flying lives disrupted lately.
Well, King Schools is here to help you stay up to date with courses that you can access on your desktop, iPad, or iPhone. If you'd like a refresher or just want to expand your aviation horizons, we have a course for you.
So head over to kingschools.com/Rusty today for details.
Welcome back. Rumored Delta pilot contract leaks. A Delta pilot contract draft has begun floating about, with details pointing the way on an eventual vote. While the contract seems to be a slightly better offer than others in recent months, mounting economic pressure may tarnish the silvery luster of a cumulative 31% pay bump over the next 4 years. News outlets were quick to speak of a 34% pay increase, but the long and short of the deal isn't quite so glamorous. The contract in its current form will grant a raise of at least 18% on the date it's signed, with another 5% bump after a year and another 4% after 2 and 3 years. To make up for the non-amended contract, Delta pilots would also get a one-time payment equal to 22% of their earnings from 2020 to 2022, more or less the length of time the group has been laboring under an amenable contract. One added bit of one-upmanship is the bullet point that promises Delta pay will lead United and Americans by at least 1%. The deal may or may not be enough to entice a pilot base that is, in a word, upset. The pilots voted in overwhelming favor of authorizing a strike if their negotiators failed to reach an agreement for an updated contract. And that's our show for today. You can catch episodes of Airborne on YouTube, Roku, or Fire TV. Just search for Aero-News or Airborne, and don't forget to follow us on social media. Thanks for watching!